including a pick six by Dak Prescott. That was Dak's fourth pick six of the year. Ezekiel Elliott was back from suspension and had 97 yards, but no big plays. After winning 13 games last year, the Cowboys will not be in the playoffs this season. But after the game, Jerry Jones gave Jason Garrett a vote of confidence, saying, "Coach, I feel good about our head coach." We're joined by Rob Parker. Merry Christmas,
Merry
Rob.
Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas, Rob.
You know what?
You going to skip for lunch today? Dinner
Absolutely.
Today.
For lunch.
Instead of bringing a dish, bring your TV.
Is that
because he wrecked all his.
I know, Skip. Will it be a TV we can watch the game on today?
Them all in. Everyone. They're all broken.
Well, welcome, Rob. Merry Christmas. Who is most at fault for Dallas missing the playoffs?
Shannon, I wish I could make a case for Jerry Jones, you know, with all the distractions
you could.
this year, you know, like kneeling down with his players before the national anthem, the fake protest, and then, of course, telling players that if they did kneel down, that he would bench them.
Right.
And then there's the onslaught of against Roger Goodell over and pushing himself into the story every week about Roger Goodell. And then
Papa John CEO.
the fake Papa John stuff, he was on
Papa
board
John
with
out
that.
of the job.
Exactly.
Thanks to Jerry.
Thanks to Jerry. So
You could make a case.
I wish I could really make that case.
Okay.
But I'm going to make it skip to your guy. It's Dak Prescott.
Shocked.
Dak Prescott.
You mean the right-handed Tim Tebow?
The right-handed Tim Tebow reared his ugly head. And you know when it was? It was when they needed him the most. When Ezekiel Elliott was out, those first 3 games, no touchdowns, 5 picks, only 500 total yards. And 2 of those 3, they lost 3 in a row. 2 of those losses came at home. They couldn't do anything. And Dak was exposed as a guy who needs a really outstanding running back to be able to do anything. He could not do anything. He was terrible in that. And in the total 6 games, they were 3-3, 5 touchdowns, 7 picks. So
How good was the defense during that stretch?
it wasn't good. It wasn't
not good.
No,
it was all-time bad.
It wasn't
Especially
good.
Especially in the second halves of those
I get
3
it,
games.
but he
right?
also, but the defense could have been bad when they lost by those big scores, right? Over 20 plus in every game. But they never got over double digits in any of those games. So the defense being bad has nothing to do with Dak not being able to score points.
What were the scores of those 3 games at halftime?
They were bad.
No, they weren't bad.
Oh,
they were
at the
ahead in
half?
2 of them and trailing by 3 points in the other one.
But did that
and what
stop?
happened in the second half? Disaster.
But did it stop Dak from scoring points? The defense playing poorly. How come it couldn't be a shootout, Shannon? Have you heard of that? When you outscore the other team and you win 45-38? Dak could have done that.
Dak
He's
Prescott
not
wish
good
he
enough.
could score 45
He's not
points.
good enough.
Did he score 45 points without Zeke? The whole while Zeke was gone, he might not have
Tell me
had
when
45.
it's my turn.
It's not your turn yet. I'm going after.
Go.
He was.
So you go ahead. I want you to go. Go ahead.
Are you finished with your bologna yet?
Yes,
You
I'm
go ahead.
finished with bologna.
You're
Can I
gonna
have
get
cheese
bologna
and
for
mayonnaise?
lunch.
Is that what I'm going to have?
Go.
No, I want to go. I want you to go.
Well, I thought you said you
No,
wanted
I
to
don't
go.
want to go. I want everybody to look at me in my green criminal jacket.
Let's just put Shannon on camera.
Why are
and
you
just take
talking?
my audience, okay? That's
Go
what we
ahead,
need.
Skip. Go ahead, Skip.
So, Rob Parker, I'm going to remind you that last year, the right-handed Tim Tebow finished 3rd in the National Football League, and my favorite stat, QBR. He is currently 4th in the National Football League in QBR. That's a precipitous fall, right? And he's 4th, and he's ahead of, I'm just going to name off a few quarterbacks that he's ahead of in QBR for the whole year. Matt Ryan, Ben Roethlisberger, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, Kirk Cousins, Cam Newton. I could go on, but I'm not going to go on because I made my own case.
It tells you that QBR doesn't really matter when it comes to winning and losing.
Okay.
Which one of those guys he's in front of in win-loss column?
That's what I just said,
Here's
right?
what Dak Prescott has been up against this whole year. The offensive line is the most overrated offensive line in football because if you watched yesterday, he was running for his life the entire football game. He barely had a second and a half to stand in the pocket, and all of a sudden, he's ducking and dodging and cutting to his left and running for his life. And he has not one receiver who can uncover. Not one. He has no deep speed on the whole team. He had a 29-yard pass interference to a kid named Noah Brown out of, I think he was a 7th-round pick out of Ohio State University, the Ohio State. He ran a 4.55 40 for a wide receiver. That's kind of like Shannon Sharp speed, right?
Whoa. What you trying to say?
That's kind of mediocre speed, right? That's all you got. This man concluded at the start of this show, Dez Bryant has been a disaster of a liability from day one this year because he's lost his quickness, his speed, and most of all, his confidence. And the coaching staff continues to force the ball to number 88 because every team the whole year singled number 88 and dared you to throw it to him to a fault. Dez Bryant went into yesterday leading the NFL in drops with 10, according to the Dallas Morning News. He had 2 yesterday. The first one came on the second play of the game and set the wrong tone for the rest of the game. He had a terrible one late where he sat down in the zone and Dak's saying, where are you going to be? Because they have no connection, no rapport. Dak throws it just a little behind him, like right here, and he gets 2 hands on the ball, and it goes right through his hands into another pick. Dak's picks were probably 80% Dez Bryant's fault, especially his pick sixes were almost all Dez Bryant's fault, except for a couple of them, and one was yesterday. And I give you that. That was a horrendous decision, but what happened? He drops back to pass. The pocket's collapsing on him. He goes, progression, 1, 2, oh, I just got to throw this over. Oh, I got 21. I'll throw it over his head. And what did he do? He threw it too far over his head, and that kid made a great break on the ball out of the Seattle zone. He didn't see him, and he shoestrings, catches it, and pick sixes it, and jumps in the kettle. And that you can't do it. You can't win like that.
Must be thought Zeke,
but
y'all mean.
Yeah, but I'm going to tell you again, he bounces back from that against all odds. They can't protect him. He has nobody who can get open, and he drives vintage Dak attack. He goes from the 25-yard line. He launches a 75-yard drive that was going to take 12 or 13 plays. And what happened? He hits pass after pass, 6 yards, 8 yards, 10 yards, 29 yards on the pass interference. And then a big 7-yard completion to Jason Witten to give him first and goal at the 3-yard line. And what happens? You got to just give it to 21. That's what you told me all year. 21 drives this train, right?
Yep.
So the crowd in Jerry World, the throng is chanting, Zeke, Zeke, Zeke. And what happens? They try to get cute. They try to fool the Seattle defense by faking it to Zeke on the first play, and he's going to run a read option pass to his left, and K.J. Wright comes unblocked right in his face, and he's like, oh, my God, so he can't get it to Cole Beasley. He ducks under and manages to get a yard. Well, now it's 2nd and goal at the 2-yard line. Well, guess what? Zeke, Zeke, Zeke. Or, to me, if you want a quarterback sneak it 3 more times.
He ain't Cam Newton.
Hey.
You see Cam Newton, what Cam Newton
you know who he
fumble the ball and get it in.
You know who he ain't? It's Tom Brady, who's the greatest quarterback sneaker in the history of this game.
Did you see what
Cam
Cam
did? Tom get it on quarterback sneaks twice?
Cam fumbled the ball.
I saw it, you know.
And pick it up and bulldoze his way in the end.
And you know what? That summed up my Dallas Cowboy year because obviously I needed Tampa to win that game. And it got so bad for the Cowboys. It was not meant to be. It was the most painful watch I've had in my whole lifelong history of watching.
Your whole life?
My whole life. It was just pulling teeth the whole year because nothing broke right. Because the Panthers needed to lose. And Cam, it hits him in the hands. He fumbles the ball forward and picks it up and scores with it.
Scores.
Are you kidding me?
Scores.
That's what I said.
That's what you get for needing help.
This is not
Take
meant
care
to
of your
be.
business. You had 15 games. You could have decided that you want somebody else to do your dirty work.
So Dak's attack goes backward and winds up in a 4th and goal from the 16, and the most accurate kicker in football misses from 34 yards. It's impossible. That's when I said, what a fitting end to this season. You come away with no points when you could have been 21-19 and have re-seized all the momentum. Doink. It didn't even doink. It just wide right. He actually doinked one from 51 that doinked in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you know you was on borrowed time to begin with.
I was on borrowed time.
If you'd have listened to me last, I could have saved you a lot of heartbreak. But you didn't want to listen to me. At least Tim Tebow said, I got me a playoff win, Dak Prescott. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Yeah.
Jerry Jones is responsible for this because you know why? Because he doesn't have playmakers. Jason Garrett don't decide who owns this team. Dak Prescott does not. Get him some guys that can have big play potential. No matter who the quarterback is, every team has somebody that they can get deep. Come on. There's no way in year 15.
Nobody.
In year 15, Jason Witten shouldn't be your set leading receiver. That shouldn't happen.
Seriously, he is glacially slow. He could still outrun you for 40 yards.
No, Skip, stop playing.
No, I'm not playing.
What's the stat about Des Bryant? Is that 21 straight games without over 100 yards receiving? That's unbelievable.
But here's the thing, though. Jerry still haven't found. Listen, the thing about you look at Philly, you're like, well, Philly's still winning without Carson Wentz. That's what you do with your roster. You try to find guys that if something were to happen to a player, he can come in for a substantial amount of time and do. Well, you still haven't found a replacement for Sean Lee. You don't have an adequate backup because what has Sean Lee history told you, Skip? It's told you since he's been in the NFL with the exception of 2 years, he's always going to get nicked during the season.
And Tyron Smith is crucial to the run game and the pass protection. I think he's the best left tackle in football, but they don't have another guy. Once he's out, they're done.
What was Tyron? Didn't he have a back problem? I told you, Skip. I said, Skip, if you limp into the season, you'll limp out of it.
He limped out. He did. It was a knee this time, but it's probably all comes from the back.
All that being said, you got to bear. Dak Prescott's got to bear some culpability in this, Skip. He hasn't played well.
But I'm going to tell you why yesterday was teetering on extinction, because they lost 2 early home games to the Rams and to Aaron Rodgers. That's
not a bad thing. The Rams are loaded.
But Dak Prescott didn't play just well in those games. He played great in both those games. And Ezekiel Elliott was there for both games. Sean Lee was not there for either game, and they imploded and exploded in the second half.
Well, he was there yesterday, and they lost.
Well,
so now what?
Guess what?
So now they had Zeke, they had Dak, and they had
They held
Sean
Seattle
Lee
to 136 total yards.
It's about winning.
Okay,
it's always about winning and losing.
Okay, but it wasn't Sean Lee's fault.
Skip Bayless is quick to give you, Rob Parker, QBR. His QBR is better than them. Of the quarterbacks that you mentioned, which one has a worse loss record than Dak Prescott?
I don't know. I listed like 50.
Okay, go ahead. You got the list right there in front of you. Read it off again, please, if you don't mind.
He did some second-level research.
No, I do no research. If you don't mind, Skip, just go ahead and read it off.
Joe Flacco.
Okay. Who has a better record?
Mitch Trubisky.
Okay.
Oh, look at him. He's going way down now.
You know that. Read up. You had Cam Newton.
Deshaun Kaiser.
Stop it.
Skip. You doing that?
We got a wrap.
Why you do Sean Kaiser?
I mean, he's not lying. He's not fake news. Should be the NFL MVP. We'll discuss that next.